Many years ago, I had the pleasure of working with a former English department head from a major university. As I did last week, I'll use a pseudonym. Let's call him Bill. Bill was a razor sharp, white haired gentleman, 40 years my senior. I designed and edited his suite of sales materials and had ample opportunity to talk with him on the regular. His passion and command for all matters of knowledge was humbling. He could muse on art and cultural nuggets, and recite poetry and historical events, all by rote. And he was excited to share all of it. And it was never boring because he understood the things he loved well enough to know why it was worth sharing in the first place. Bill was a businessman, sales executive, amateur photographer, poetry buff, author, and publisher of his own literary newsletter. And his focus on knowledge didn't come at the expense of his physical maintenance. In his younger days, he was a state qualifying track and field athlete, an impressive one considering the race times he shared with me. And Bill didn't soften up too much with age. He was, as the best people often are, a high-energy person who was reserved and level-headed. The only kind of person worthy of their vitality. In total, he was impressive. And how many truly impressive people do you run into every day? If you've ever been to a Walmart, you'll know they're grossly outnumbered.
See a propensity for obesity, poverty, a yen for fairy tales. Folks putting what few bucks they do have into little wicker baskets being passed around. I think it's safe to say that nobody here is going to be splitting the atom, Marty.
I bring up Bill because he was old school in all the right ways. A product of simpler, more challenging times. Which might have had something to do with it. Technology had not yet taken up all of their generation's remaining slack, leaving them sufficient tension to remain rugged and retain character. In the absence of ubiquitous automation, people still had to become more of what they needed, mentally and physically. And while I wouldn't trade places, there's a lot to be said for that. And for them. Folks like Bill are packed suitcases. People who are distinguished by the quantity and quality of what they know and can do, but also by what they want and choose to do. These people see life's abundant offerings and explore them for their own sake. They appreciate and want to know the good things so completely that they actively participate in them in some form because they're not just biding the time of their life. They're savoring it because they actually want to be here.
Hey, do you care whether you live or die?
I don't know.
Every action of ours should be a prayer, a sacrament in the world. Do you think we're living like that? Why do you think we're not living like that? I think it's because if we allowed ourselves to see what we do every day, we might just find it too nauseating.
I love this movie and this particular clip. And I agree with this particular premise. If life is best considered as an active process, then the more meaningfully active you are, the more alive you are, or at least feel. After all, what's the difference between mineral, plant, animal, and human? We consider each successive kingdom as more alive based on how active they are or appear to be. Somehow, we view plant life a little lesser than animal life, and animal life less than human life. To fall from an active thinking being to a passive potted plant would by any measure be considered a regression, would it not? And if this is the case, and I think it is, at what point do we limit or refuse to engage, and God forbid, fully integrate with some of this supposedly wonderful, amazing tech that just can't wait to do everything for you? Forget creating and writing. How about just plain old thinking and coming to your own conclusions? Even considering the things we've evolved to do quite capably on our own, at what point do we recognize and decide to no longer cede the diminishing balance of our very being? Again, I ask, do we want to be here or not? Or will we be satisfied with everything, including the husks of ourselves, being animated for us? Because I've got news for you. At some level, every process is an energy expenditure. And you and your earthly life are defined by how you choose to expend your energy. There's a power in that, and I believe it's greater than anything that someone or something else could give you. The more of the decision making and control you yield to external and internal technology in pursuit of progress and a competitive edge in pursuit of material resources, the less you become yourself. Taken at its extreme, this road slowly transplants everything of value in you with artificial appendages and ultimately leaves you with nothing.
I don't really want to dig through my inbox, so if you send it now, it'll be on top. I'll wait.
Wearable chair.
Sending now.
We all have serious existential questions in front of us, particularly how we're going to engage with these potentially helpful or destructive toys. These are not new questions, but the implications have been upgraded accordingly.
Decisions. Oh, pay me. Lawyer's salary, please.
There's a game called Life that's really worth living. You and your family have got to play it. The Game of Life for Milton Bradley.